Hello students, in this video we will discuss about the permanent tissues and what are these permanent tissues. Okay, so the permanent tissues are those that have lost the capacity of cell division either permanently or temporarily. That means we know that whenever these meristematic cells divide mitotically, two daughter cells are formed. Out of these two daughter cells, one daughter cell will retain that meristematic activity or cell division activity, and the next one has decided not to continue in the cell cycle, so it comes out and enters into G0 phase and undergo differentiation, and that differentiation will make the cells a permanent cell. But during this course of differentiation, sometimes some cells will die. Means what, they lose their life also. That's why here this definition is saying what? You just observe this definition. Tissues that have lost the capacity of division either permanently, means permanently they have lost the capacity of cell division, means they became dead cells, or temporarily they lost, means what, whenever it is required they can become again meristematic. Okay, and of course that is called de-differentiation. So that is temporarily, and this temporary is possible only when they are living. So that's why this is applicable to living. Okay, now you see these all these cells, permanent tissues, are derived from meristematic tissues only, and they form different types of permanent tissues. We can recognize two important permanent tissues here. That is simple permanent tissues. I wrote PT, that is what permanent tissue, simple permanent tissue, and complex permanent tissue. So what is this simple permanent tissue? It is a group of similar cells, with common origin and function. Common origin and function. That means we can say that they are having similar structure, similar origin, similar function. So that is what simple permanent tissue. Then what? In what way the complex tissues will differ from the simple tissues? Very simple. So the complex tissues are group of dissimilar cells. Group of dissimilar cells with common origin and function. Common origin and function. Origin is same, function is same, but they are not similar in their structure. Structurally they are different, but origin wise and function wise same. That is what complex permanent tissues. And of course these simple permanent tissues, we can recognize three types of simple permanent tissues. Okay, just remember the simple permanent tissues are of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. And before getting into the details of these tissues, you just remember these key points. The parenchyma is a living tissue and performs different types of functions. So I can say that it is a multifunctional tissue. Multifunctional tissue. The collenchyma is a living mechanical tissue. Living mechanical tissue means what, it provides some strength to the part wherever it is present. Sclerenchyma is also mechanical tissue, but you just say how to differentiate collenchyma and sclerenchyma. This is living mechanical tissue, whereas sclerenchyma is dead mechanical tissue. And this also provides the strength, rigidity to the part wherever it is present. Okay. Now, when we come to the complex tissues are, you can see here, conducting tissue, conducting tissue. So that means they are nothing but conducting tissues. And I hope you know that these conducting tissues, we generally we use one word, that is what vascular tissues. And these vascular tissues are present in the P plus G plus A. I hope you understand. That is present in pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. So that's why these three are called what? Vascular plants or tracheophytes. Okay, now let us say these complex tissues are of two types. One is xylem and the other one is phloem. Xylem and phloem, but remember the alternate names also. The xylem is also called as hadrome, and phloem is also known as leptome. Okay, and the difference, this tissue is a water conducting tissue. Xylem is a water conducting tissue, whereas phloem is a food conducting tissue. One more difference is there, that is what the xylem is composed of mainly dead cells. So majority of the cells that are making the xylem are dead. Of course, I am not saying that there are no living cells in the xylem. There are living cells are present in the xylem, but they are few in comparison with the dead cells. That's why it can be considered as what dead water conducting tissue. And the phloem is a living food conducting tissue. It is living food conducting. Here also, I would like to tell you one thing. So, though it is called living food conducting tissue, even it has some dead cells. But in comparison with the living cells, the dead cells are few in the phloem. I hope you are not getting confused here. So the xylem, okay, is composed of mainly dead cells and few living cells, whereas phloem is composed of mainly living cells, few dead cells. That's why this is dead water conducting tissue, and this is living food conducting tissue. These are the key points you just remember, and we will now will get into the details of these simple permanent tissues. So now among these simple permanent tissues, we have already come to know that the simple permanent tissues are of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So first we will discuss about parenchyma. Remember, this parenchyma is having some attributes, and it is popularly known as a primitive tissue. And you have to understand that why it is called a primitive tissue or ancient tissue, because right from algae, so you know that in the plant kingdom, which are primitive plants? Algae. And among algae, you will find unicellular organisms as well as multicellular organisms. But what tissue? That means multicellular means a group of cells will be there. Means what they have a tissue, and what tissue is that? Parenchyma tissue. Even when it is unicellular, what cell is that? Parenchyma cell. So it is there right from the primitive plants like algae till the highly advanced plants like angiosperms. That's why it is called a primitive tissue. Okay, and it is also called as fundamental tissue. This is because many times I have been telling you that whenever a meristematic cell okay, divides mitotically, so two daughter cells are formed. among which one daughter will remain as meristematic and other will undergo differentiation and becomes permanent. So when it is undergoing differentiation, so it may become a parenchyma cell, collenchyma cell, sclerenchyma, xylem, and or phloem. So anything is possible according to the requirement. But whatever the cell it may be, okay, even if it is collenchyma, so first what will appear? Parenchyma. Later it will change into collenchyma. First parenchyma, later it will become sclerenchyma. First parenchyma, later it will become a trachea. First parenchyma, later it may change into what a vessel. So like that, I hope you are understanding the point. That's why this is a fundamental tissue. Means all other tissues, okay, are having one transitory stage, and the transitional stage is what parenchyma. So that's why fundamental tissue, and let us say it is also called as ground tissue. Why it is called ground tissue? So this parenchyma. So let us take any angiospermic plant where it is present. Here you can't say like that, because where it is not present becomes the question. It is present everywhere. It is there in the root, it is there in the stem, it is there in the leaves, it is present in the flowers, okay, and it is present in the fruit, it is present in the seed. So every part is composed of the parenchyma, and you can say that all other tissues are embedded within this parenchyma. So that's why it is called ground tissue. Okay, so and, remember the parenchyma at different places is not performing the same function, it is performing different functions that we will discuss under functions. So that's why it is not confined to one particular function or two functions, many functions it is performing. That's why it is a multifunctional tissue. And now, let us say the parenchyma is the name of the tissue, and then what you call the cells in that tissue, the cells are called parenchymatous cells. Okay, you may think that you see the collenchyma, the cells of collenchyma are called collenchyma cells. The cells of sclerenchyma are called sclerenchyma cells. No, not like that. That's why just remember they are different. We will discuss about that. And the cells making the parenchyma are called parenchymatous cells. Parenchymatous cells. And when we want to go for the details of these cells, what will be the shape of these cells? They're isodiametric. Iso means similar, diametric means diameter, means what the size from any side will be same, and they may have different shapes, but the size will be uniform from all sides. So that is what isodiametric. And you see here the spherical. They may be spherical like this, or they may be oval, they may be rectangular like this, or they may be polygonal, or they may be elongated like this, or they may be star shaped, that is stellate like this, or they may be irregular. So there is the shape of the parenchyma cells. And now let us say the cell wall. The cell wall is composed of what? Cellulose, and it is not a thick wall, it is thin wall. And in the cell you will find the cytoplasm, and the cytoplasm is present in the form of only a thin layer around the central vacuole. So the vacuole is occupying the large area, and more than 90% area is occupied by the vacuole only. And only this is what the cytoplasm, and such cytoplasm is called primordial utricle cytoplasm. Primordial utricle type of cytoplasm. And you can see that the diagram which I drew is the matured cell. Initially you will find the nucleus in the center, and once the vacuole, large vacuole is formed, the nucleus is pushed towards one corner of the cell. And of course, now we know that the plant cells are characterized by the presence of the plastids, and you have already studied in cell biology that these plastids are of three types: leucoplasts, chromoplasts, and chloroplasts. Leucoplasts are colorless plastids, chromoplasts are colored other than green, and chloroplasts are colored plastids. But what are present in these parenchyma? So in parenchyma, all these three types are present, but you have to be very careful. I am not saying that in one parenchyma cell, all these three are not present. So it may have leucoplasts, it may have chromoplasts, it may have chloroplasts. How? Because we said that it is a ground tissue and it is present in the root, stem and the leaves. So in the root, generally the parenchyma present in the roots will have leucoplasts. The parenchyma present in the pericarp of the fruits and the flowers, petals will have chromoplasts. And the leaves are green in color and the leaf is mainly composed of what parenchyma only. So they have what chloroplasts. Okay, and when these parenchyma cells are making one tissue, that is parenchymatous tissue, so we expect some spaces between them, and the spaces are called what? Intercellular spaces. And these intercellular spaces may be present or sometimes they may be absent. Okay, and suppose if the cells are polygonal cells like this. When they are arranged like this, we can't expect the intercellular spaces. The intercellular spaces are possible when the cells are irregular or the cells are spherical or oval. Okay, so that is what intercellular spaces. Now, when we come to the functions of this parenchyma, okay, it is protective in function. It is protective in function. What is this? So don't forget that epidermis is made up of epidermal cells, and all the cells of epidermal cells are parenchymatous. And you know that what is the function of epidermis? Protection, protecting the inner tissues. So, which is performing that protective function? Parenchyma. So that's why it is protective in function or protection. And we know that in herbs, okay, the herbs are small plants, and though they are small plants, but with the soft stems and they stand straight. So they are erect plants. And this erectness is due to presence of parenchyma in what state? Turgid state. What is this turgidity? Means what? Always the parenchyma maintains some amount of water. So the cells which are filled with water are called turgid cells. So that is performed by these parenchyma and keeping the herbs erect. Turgidity. And assimilation. What is this assimilation? Preparation of food is called assimilation. And that means it is how it is preparing the food material by the process called photosynthesis. Means how the parenchyma is able to perform this photosynthesis. That means due to presence of chloroplasts. And generally, what you call the parenchyma with chloroplasts, it is called chlorenchyma. The parenchyma with chloroplasts is called chlorenchyma. Be careful, not cholenchyma, chlorenchyma. So that is assimilatory function. And the parenchyma also helps in what? Storage of food material. And we heard about different storage modifications in morphology. So some roots are there which are storing food material, like carrot, beetroot, and radish. And in their roots, where the food or in which tissue the food is stored, parenchyma only. So such parenchyma is called food storage parenchyma. Food storage parenchyma. And of course, we know that we heard about the succulents, which are xerophytes, and they store water in the form of mucilage, and like aloe vera, okay, bryophyllum, okay, and this euphorbia, Wapensia, all of them they are succulents, and they store water in the form of mucilage, and in which tissue they are storing this water in the form of mucilage? Parenchyma only. And what you call that parenchyma? Okay, water storage parenchyma. Water storage parenchyma. And of course, I hope you heard about some hydrophytes which will float freely on the surface of water. And when you examine these hydrophytes, which are free floating hydrophytes like Pistia iconia, that is water hyacinth, or terror of Bengal, and these plants body will be very soft and spongy. That spongy nature of these plants is due to presence of one special parenchyma which is called Parenchyma. Parenchyma. So this parenchyma cells are arranged very loosely and providing large intercellular spaces, and this is called air cavity, air cavities. And you see, this is one group I drew, and this is another group of parenchyma cells. Imagine like this. So if the cells are arranged like this, you will find what several air cavities, and naturally the tissue will become what spongy, and it provides what buoyancy to the plant and makes the plant to float on the surface. And not only that, the air which is stored inside also helps in what exchange of gases exchange. So that is what that's why I wrote aeration. So that is parenchyma present in free floating hydrophytes. And the last but not the least is what meristematic activity. So remember, parenchyma being a living tissue, so it can undergo dedifferentiation, and become meristematic. And what are the examples we can quote here? So, like suppose when there is when the stem is injured, okay. So the wound will get healed by, that means the wound get healed with the filling of that wound with the new cells. How these new cells are formed due to this parenchyma. Okay, and not only that, root initiation from the stem cuttings, root initiation from the stem cuttings is due to the presence of parenchyma, which will undergo dedifferentiation and become meristematic and will behave as root initials, and roots will be formed. That is, adventitious roots are formed. And not only that, don't forget in during secondary growth in dicot stem, okay, interfascicular cambium is formed due to the dedifferentiation of medullary rays will produce interfascicular cambium. Interfascicular cambium. So what are these medullary rays? Elongated parenchyma cells. And what about the cortex? In the cortex region, parenchyma is there, and that parenchyma will produce a cambium called cork cambium. So what does it indicate? The parenchyma present in the cortex region is undergoing dedifferentiation and is producing what a meristematic tissue called cork cambium that produces this, okay, periderm. So this is all the meristematic activity of the parenchyma. So I hope now we are understanding it. This parenchyma is performing many functions. That's why it is called aptly it is called multifunctional tissue.